Dear learners, I am Professor M.D. Agrawal. Now we will study in second session part B, additive manufacturing and 3D, base revolution in manufacturing. This is in continuation of our theme of the week, that playbook of Industry 4.0 technologies, convergence, integration, digitalization, etc. And we have discussed earlier in the same series overview of AI and associated technologies and their collaboration and convergence aspect of all technologies for developing the Industry 4.0 solutions. And in the last session, we discussed the process automation technology RPA and intelligent RPA. Now in this session we will discuss additive manufacturing and 3D. World Economic Forum, this is one technology which is has been implemented in many industries, and I will say it's quite old technology. And we are seeing a lot of improvement. World Economic Forum consider this as one of the technology which help for sustainability, which I am going to explain. And it has also have a future impact, future impact in terms of sustainability and circular economy and quality of life. Why we call, sometime there is a discussion whether additive manufacturing and 3D are two different technologies or the same technologies. In fact, considering the importance of 3D, the word additive manufacturing was added here, because 3D is really a great addition to manufacturing. So mostly we call it as additive manufacturing. 3D and additive manufacturing they represent to the same technology. Now, if we like to understand 3D, I will like to explain this this technology with the help of a couple of examples. And this slide, is having the definition of 3D, and as well as quite a few links. Using these links, you can learn the various aspects of 3D printing or 3D technology. So, if we like to define 3D and additive manufacturing, it is basically the construction of three-dimensional objects from CAD model, computer-aided design model, or a digital 3D model. The term 3D printing can refer to a variety of processes in which material is deposited, joined, solidified under computer control to create a three-dimensional object with material being added together, such as plastic, liquids, powder grains being fused together, typically layer by layer. I like to establish an anomaly, comparison of 3D with the printing industry. If any time you visit a paper factory, you will find that a paper is being manufactured. Paper is being made by putting layers and layers, layer after layer. Same manner, if we like to print on a laser printer or dashjet printer a colorful design, you can find that the color combinations, like you want to have a violet colored picture, there is no ink of the violet, but violet color is being made by combination of blue and red, blue and red. So first the blue layer is being put and then red layer is being put. This process can be, I will say this process, once you understand this process, I will not say there is a correlation between these processes with the 3D, but 3D printing also follow similar process. And I like to explain that with the help of one video, and this video will also give you quite a few great example of 3D, how it is being used in the industry. Then we will discuss further. This video link is given over here, so you can listen, and a couple of videos are here, because these technologies are sometimes better understood by seeing how they function, how they work. Video play is a good way of learning technology little simultaneously. Though the theoretical explanation is good, but the practical side is also very, very helpful. And I also given the link of Wikipedia, where some of the more details can be accessed, can be understood by on the 3D printing. So this video I have played. Now, if you see this process is a very simple process, which was I will say the beginning of 3D printing when it started. It's not even FDM or the commonly when we want to design, say we want to design this cup, we want to print or we want to make this cup, the first the 3D model of this cup is being made on the computer. There's CAD design. Then with the help of one software, it is converted into a .stl file, because .stl file is one file which 3D software which will run on the 3D printer understand that. This CAD software it may not understand, but there is a conversion software which convert 3D CAD model into .stl file. And then this .stl file become the input for this slicing software. Slicing software means that you have seen in the printer, printer was working in this slicing. We are making the slices, the one after another slices. So this is slicing software function. So STL is the input to the slicing software, and slicing software direct this hardware machine, and which put the layer after layer and make this 3D object which you are seeing in the picture. So this is the way this 3D. This is a very simple, I will say, the flow which I am showing over here. But when you go for the actual practicals, probably you will have to add some more steps over here. Okay, so this is what I thought worth understanding and worth knowing about this. What is the key processes in 3D printing. Now I will come on the little insight, little more insight about the 3D. First of all, 3D can be made of the plastic material and metal material, ceramic material, concrete material, and even many more kind of materials can be used for three-dimensional designs. But for every material we will have different kind of 3D machines. So 3D terms, why it is a so big deal? You have seen really it is a big. In the normal design, there are some limitations. When we want to do the design, we have to create a mold, and we have to have some prototyping and testing and retesting. While in case of 3D, as long as your object has been converted onto a CAD drawing, then there is chances that the final product with the help of 3D will be a good product. And many times companies are using 3D printers for doing the prototyping. They want to see that how their product will look like. So before they go for the commercial production, they like to see that by printing on the printing means that create with the help of additive manufacturing. They like to create that product which they want to make and roll out in the market. So that time it is quite useful. If we go by step, we see the concept, overall concept, which that first of all, 3D can be used additive manufacturing can be used for any kind of shapes. You will see, to your surprise, even today homes are being made with the help of 3D printers. 3D printing technologies. Home which used to take say 1 year's time, it can be made in 1 month's time. In our country also, a lot of experiments are going on in the civil side as well as. Is quite flexible in terms of customization. It is a economic, and because when you want to create a design, it involves so many experts, but here for making a 3D design or 3D object, you need expert develop that model on the computer, in the CAD computer, and once that is made, then is the question of translating that CAD drawing into the object with the help of a suitable 3D printer. So is again this is one of the key aspect of digital manufacturing, which we will be learning in subsequent courses, that if somebody says what is digital manufacturing, the 3D additive manufacturing is a part of digital manufacturing. 3D this is some what, when and where. I will say that the what you have already seen, that when means that when you want to have, suppose there is a breakdown in the factory and the spare part is not available in our country, it has to be imported. But we have the drawing of the spare part, we know the material which is being used making of the spare parts, and we have a 3D suitable 3D printer, because for every kind of work we have to have a suitable 3D printer, and it is quite possible that you can make that object with the help of a 3D printer. So sometime in case of emergency, it is quite viable to make the 3D object with the help of 3D printer. Products are made close to their consumptions, reducing the logistic of delivery and CO2 emission, because you need not to set up a factory for the production of that product. So it is also environmental friendly. There are many examples which you like to see that in the world is full of examples. This implementation, as I said, it has become a commonly used technology nowadays. And this one example is of one company in our country, is called Grayas Founders Private Limited. They are using 3D printing for enhancing the manufacturing. They keep getting requests for different kind of mold, which if they start developing that mold, it will take a lot of time. But with the help of 3D printing, the concept which I have explained you, they are able to make this mold, these designs in a very little time, say 1 month, 2 weeks to 1 month's time. Otherwise, it may take much more time. So this is one example, and then the site is given over here. You can explore there what all work they are doing. This is a very great example. The 3D printing is a great value to the health industry. And this is an example of digital dentistry. It's commonly used now in case of dentistry industry, forming our teeth when we want to do the implantation. And 3D printers are commonly used. Earlier, there was a handmade tools were made through the handmade efforts. Now mostly they are being made with the help of 3D printing. In IIT Bombay, I know one 3D printer lab. They are having a 3D printer for printing of the bones. And this lab is in the great demand by all hospitals all over India. Whenever there is a demand for a bone which has been crushed, and if you like to form or make that bone again, it may take much more time, and it may not be so accurate. But once we have a 3D kind of X-ray of that bone, then that bone is being printed in the 3D printer in this lab. I have seen myself. So this is a great example of 3D printing and helping the mankind, even health sector. This is one of the slides which I have captured from McKinsey, that how the 3D printing is helping in the formation of the medical devices. So one can see that it has 3D printing as having use in pharmaceutical industry as well as medical device industry, surgical guides, prosthetic implants. No, implants, it is very common. No, using the 3D printing nowadays. No, as I say, the tooth implants. No, it is very common. And now there is a what we are hearing. No, there is also advantage of printing of the hard walls. No, with the help of 3D printing. 3D printing. They are very precise, and depending upon the requirement of an individual, with the help of 3D printing, the walls are being printed, And even for personalized drug, 3D printing is also, because 3D printing, the input is, as we have discussed earlier, the 3D printing inputs are also the liquids, So liquids and other materials. So personalized drugs are also being, attempted in case of, some disease. Where general drugs are not working, or they may become too much, for a patient. So there are many examples. I said, this is another example of making a homes. A glimpse of additive manufacturing across many sectors, automobile sectors and all these sectors. And this is another. You can like to listen this video at leisure. Then how 3D printing is helping to build the houses. Houses, in China, this industry is very common, 3D printing is being used, in China, manufacturing of the bungalows, manufacturing of the multi-story buildings also. So this is another example of, 3D printing, how it's being built a house. You can play this video and you can yourself understand that, how this 3D printing is being used, in building of the house. And if you see this here, the material, raw material is the material which is being used commonly for building of these houses. Is a mix of the cement and other concrete, etc. And that is being processed. That is being used as the input to the. But this requires a different kind of specialized 3D printers. This temple has been made with the help of 3D printing at place called Siddhipat. Somewhere in Tamil Nadu, this temple is being made with the help of 3D printer only. Now we come to the, if we like to take the lessons, and like to summarize, how the 3D printing is helping manufacturing. So these slides, give some of the insight on that. There are hundreds of use cases, which some of the use cases you will be learning, when we learn, subsequently the use cases and in the next session, next week, But here, I have given some few use cases, like, one of the very common use of the 3D is the prototyping, which we discussed, And then, reverse engineering, you want to go back, you want to see that, some of the part, you want to make some part or some machine, yourself, and then you want to see that, how it functions, then 3D printing can be used for that. Challenges and strategic implications are many. First of all, you require design and skill requirements. In case of 3D printing, there is an advantage that you may not require highly, as long as you have the manpower or you have the technician who understand 3D printing functioning, or you can make that CAD drawing, you will be able to manufacture your 3D object. So you here requirement of very high skill labors may not be so much required. Secondly, material constraint. This is one constraint in case of 3D printing. You may not get a suitable material or a suitable input which can be used for building the 3D printing objects, because it depends upon the machine, 3D printing machine, which material it can make use of. Commonly used material in n number of cases is the plastic wires, or the steel wires. Because steel wire and plastic wires are being made as an input, and then the machine function on that, the arm function on that. There are many advantages for medium and small industry, which you like to learn. And there is one company called Aurum 3D. If you visit their website, they are working very closely with many MSMEs. Because MSMEs are having constraint in terms of that production volume. So in fact, this is becoming one of the important industry itself. If somebody wants to start the business as a 3D printing business or additive manufacturing business. Is also many companies, many individuals and companies are doing that business itself. So these are the companies, Divine. For example, I have given some indicative examples. Divine 3D is one company. Then J Group Robotics is a second company, and third is Aurum 3D. So they are they have the 3D printers, different types of 3D printer, and they are helping many industry sectors for 3D printing objects. I have given here some references. You like to see further applications of 3D printing by visiting some of these websites. World Economic Forum is also working very closely and promoting 3D printing for the manufacturing industry. They have a dedicated portal on the what is called the Accelerated Sustainable Manufacturing. There you will find few very important articles. So there is a dedicated trust, it's called additivemanufacturing.com, and they are also working on promotion of this 3D printing in the industry. So with this word, I like to now conclude that 3D printing is one technology which is quite versatile technology for the manufacturing as well as beyond manufacturing. We have seen that 3D printing used in health industry also. So I will now invite learners and students. You should try to study this area a little more in depth. The purpose of this session was an overview, which I hope that you must have understood some common use of 3D printing and how it functions. Thank you very much.